Hey, it looks like a couple of survivors of my neglect decided to do something. So there's actually something to film if I can hold my hands still so that it can focus. I don't want to get too far away and show that. Yeah, that's where I keep all my potting stuff and whatnot over there. But yeah, a couple of survivors. I neglected my plants for a while. Sometimes you do that. But a couple of survivors decided to do something, so I thought I would catch the blooms on film. Now there's only two, but here's one of the white ones that I kind of hope to do some pollination work with eventually. But there's, oh, I forget, I counted the blooms. There's quite a few little blooms on this uh, mini, I guess. It doesn't want to ever produce big blooms, but it's got some nice white little blooms. And the other thing about this plant is it's got this curlicue spike here. I've got this idea that not cutting the spikes has some merit. And this one's over 2 years old. I just went down my videos, and down at the very bottom, as far as I can go down, there's one, how I plan to bloom my Phalaenopsis in the future. And if I remember right, in short, it's about curling them back over themselves like this so that you don't need to stake them. And it's over 2 years old now. It put out a set of blooms, and then they died. It extended. You can see it's died back quite a ways, but it extended. Second time round, it actually put out more blooms than the first time. And then it extended one more time, but was pretty pathetic. It only put out 2 blooms. And then in over 2 years, it's done nothing. But it does seem, and of course, because it extended, twice, if I were to cut it to try to get branches, I might have missed out. Because that second set of blooming, there was only a couple more than the first. But it proved that you can get more blooms the second time. And it also proved that it might extend and put on a show that way. If you cut your spikes, now maybe you don't cut them all the way back to the base, but if you cut it hoping for branches, I would have missed out, wouldn't I? So there's that. And even though it's died back quite a lot, let me get to touchy here. It's going to come over and give away the second plant. But all of that, I'm just holding the tip of it. Die back, all the way to there. There's a spike all in itself. And then I finally got it to quit dying back. And, hey, leave that bloom alone. It's kind of special. But you can see it's stout. And it held at least this many blooms. I did eventually support it toward the end because it's a mile long. But for the most part, it did not need to be staked. And I thought, if you go back on the video of how I plan to bloom my Phalaenopsis in the future, I thought it looked a lot nicer than staked. and it supported itself. So this is just, trying to find out how long the spikes can live. I thought it was a couple of seasons. This spike is over 2 years old. I've had all of the others die off. Of course, a few plants died off in the neglect. But the spikes can hang on. They don't necessarily do anything. Like I said, this one's over 2 years old. It did extend a couple of times, but when it was done, it was kind of done. And now this is what it does. It just sits there green and is what it is. That doesn't stop it from putting out a new spike and blooming, obviously. So we'll see what this one does. Okay, that was quite a long time on one little plant. But there's only 2 plants. Here's one that survived. It does have a spike, but I guess it aborted the spike. Yeah, fly flying around in the background. Forgive him. It didn't do anything. It started and the tip died, and I guess it's done. But I'm not one for cutting spikes. I mean, if you cut the green spike, you can technically introduce, infection. I'm sure that's very unlikely, but theoretically, you could introduce infection. I just don't see the point. So, okay, that's another survivor, but it's not looking so great. It was quite a period of neglect, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I guess it is what it is. I don't understand that orange. I got some orange like glitter going on down there by the shell and the bottom of the screen. Huh, that's weird. Okay, I'm over it. We'll just move on. Did it come out? It's a new phone, so I don't know. Anyway, the reason I think this is so neat, and that's no orchid, you might recognize that as a Christmas cactus, Easter cactus, whatever. To me, I just call them all Christmas cactuses, but I guess there's some distinctions. But for the first time in my many attempts over several years, I got it to bloom. Those are my buds. I grew them myself. Quite proud. Obviously, there's one there and one there. Getting too close. And that's kind of all I've got to say about that. I'm just excited because I've tried, like I say, over the years to bloom these things again and again, and yeah, doesn't happen. I did something right. It very well may have been neglect. And I'm pointing at the phone. I don't know why, because you can't see it, but I'm pointing at the phone, like a mom. Shame on you. Except, yeah, it very well could have been, I'm still doing it, very well could have been the neglect that caused it to bloom. I don't know. But it's blooming, and I'm happy. Okay, like I say, there's been a lot of die-off, but these 2 decided to do something, so I thought I would film it. It's been, I don't know, ages and ages since I made a video, so I guess it's about time, huh? But that's really about all I've got. I will be starting my collection over, I suppose. Yeah, it happens, I guess. From time to time, you lose plants. I'm kind of used to it. My fish hobby is kind of the same. Sometimes you lose fish. Sometimes you have no idea why you lose your fish. You just lose your fish. And then you gotta buy more. The one time I picked up from somewhere that, what was it? 2/3 of people that get into the fish hobby end up dropping out of it again. 2/3. I've been in it for, well, decades now. So, if I can survive the fish hobby, I think I can survive the orchid hobby. Excuse me. Okay. Talk to you next time. Whenever that is.